Hi, I'm Shelly. This is the Edgy Gardener channel, and I wanted to do a hydrangea highlight. It is late September, and my hydrangeas are in their picture perfect color bloom. I've suffered 7 different varieties on my property, and you know, in the winter I love to look back and see what happened and all of the flowers and plants in their glory. And also, I like to see it now at the end of the season because it helps me make plans for what I want to do in the spring. So we will start with hydrangea. One is my biggest and eldest. It's a Limelight hydrangea. And this is a 6-foot fence behind me. And so this is at least 8 feet tall. I think maybe that's even more than 8 feet, but it is a big shrub for me. And this faces my kitchen window. So when I'm standing at the sink, this is what I look out and this is what I see. Now, a few years ago, I did trim this up into a standard form and I loved it. It was all last season. And then I did some pruning on it late winter and was so looking forward to that ice cream cone shape again. But as soon as the blooms started, we had a really heavy, long rainstorm and just bent the branches and it just did not come up. I did try and get back there. Spent about 30 minutes with my face deep into the shrub and tried to take some rope and tie it to the fence. And you know, after half an hour, nothing was working. And so I gave up and the shrub won. And then I spent 2 days in the house with a sneezing fit because I had these petals just basically up my nose. So these blooms are so pretty. Of course, they come out bright white and then they fade to this almost green look, creamy green, and then they go pink. But sometimes mine will get dry before they bring on the pink. Some of them are pinker than others, like that one down there. And actually that's the same color as most of the hydrangeas that I have. Oh, and it does look like, which I hadn't noticed before, might be a bit of chlorosis. So looking at this right now in September, it does tell me that I need to do things differently in the spring. And this summer I was looking forward to underplanting that. But if it does that, you know, I don't think there's any space to underplant. And I've had this for at least 6 years. And it is at the end of what I call the rooster bed. The rooster bed is because that was the first ornament that was placed in this bed. And it was a friend of mine bought it for me for my birthday. And he's hidden back there. There is the rooster. This hydrangea is an actual standard, and this is a pinky winky. And I bought this in a standard form. Look at those blooms. They are so very pretty. I was so glad to find this. I do trim this back pretty harsh. This is my newest hydrangea standard. Like I said, I trim it back pretty harsh, and every year it does give me that good form. I do have a hole in there. I think in the early part of the season, we had a windstorm and a large branch broke off. But it is very pretty to look at. So if I give you the scene from this edge of the bed, so you can see the pinky winky and the Limelight. And then directly across is a hydrangea with a very sad story. This is a PG. But first, look at those blooms. Look at the focus here. I don't know if you can see it in the light, but it's a fuchsia. Oh, it is so pretty. So this PG always droops every year like this. The blooms come in, or the blooms show up, and then they just fold over. So I was attempting to trim it back several times so that those branches would get nice and strong so that they would not flop and they would be more like, you know, its friend over here, the pinky winky. But This was hit in 3 different storms. It broke off, branches broke off, and the tree was even leaning really hard. This part of the yard is a giant wind tunnel right here. So with my pruning that I did do, and then nature's pruning, it just wound up a lopsided mess. I didn't even think I was gonna get any blooms on it this year. And I had to stop pruning on it because I felt like it had had so much abuse. So late winter, I'll come in and reshape that shrubbery. And I think I'm just going to have to live with this one being more moppy than upright. So that's the PG. When you come around this side corner of the house, this is what you see. You can see all 3 hydrangeas in one view on either side of the patio. I was so glad that I read something and discovered the beauty and the purpose of standards and small trees in small areas. When I told my husband, and even my mom was here at that point, that I was going to put a small tree there, they both thought I was kind of crazy. But I think this form, even though it's not very pretty this year, just the space that it takes up and the form that it gives helps give purpose to the rest of this bed over here. So I am very happy, and I'm actually looking for more small trees that I can tuck in to my gardens. Now this hydrangea behind me, I think is a quick fire. I think, but I am not sure. I cannot find the tag anywhere. Typically I leave the tags on my shrubs for years. It's just nowhere to be found. And as best I can tell from when I compare it to plants in the nursery and other labeled plants, I think that's what it is. It could be a fire and ice because we were a huge Game of Thrones fan, and it would make sense that we found a hydrangea that was fire and ice. And I know that my husband picked this one out, and that's why we have it. And this one attracts more bees, bumblebees, honeybees, and wasps than anything else. And this is right next to our garage. And so I'm on the sidewalk that gets into our backyard. So sometimes passing this in the summer, we make a wide breath and go into the grass because it's just buzzing. They've never caused a problem, but we still give them plenty. So there it is. And maybe somebody can help me identify this. See it? They have these really thick red stems, and then these are the flowers. So they have kind of the beaded flowers here. I do not know the botanical names for this shape of flower. And then so they flowered twice, I guess. And the stems are so pretty. Even the distance between the leaves seem to be a little bit more than my other hydrangeas. And I was very harsh on the pruning for this one as well, because last year it came farther out onto the sidewalk. And I'm very happy with the shape it maintained this year. So again, very pretty. And like I said, I think this is a quick fire or a fire and ice for hydrangeas. So we're on to our 5th, and this is a new addition, and it's doing really nothing right now. But this is an Oakleaf hydrangea, and I will show you the tag. This is a Gatsby pink. There's some of the information there. I wanted one from the Gatsby series because I just love the colors, mostly the fall colors that their leaves will give. And this one should get 6 to 8 feet tall and wide. And I thought that this would be a really good area. Now it's filled in right now, but everything is movable. I didn't want to leave that space completely bare until it filled in. And I don't know, 3-5 years maybe until it gets that big. We will see. So I bought this late summer. It took me a long time to find one, and I really didn't find one, but I convinced one of the nurseries to order one, and they did. And I do get these rust spots on the leaves. Actually, the first few weeks I had it, I pruned almost all of the leaves off anyway. And I was told that I just didn't let the leaves dry out between waterings. I don't know if that's the case, but it did flush back really, really well. And you know, it's this. And I wish I would have been out here 2 weeks ago when these blooms were bright pink, because they were really nice. So I'm waiting for the leaves to change, because like I said, that's really my main purpose in buying this one. And I'm hoping that I put it in a spot that gets enough sun. The other hydrangea, which would be number 7, is the one behind it right here, which I brought from our old property about 7 years ago. And it is going to be a endless summer variety. Actually, I forgot there's one here too. These are both endless summer varieties. And this did not bloom all year. It looks like there's maybe some chlorosis here. Since I've moved it, it's maybe only had 1 or 2 leaves with 1 or 2 blooms. And so I've moved it so many times in this garden, but it's like it doesn't like this part of town. It bloomed beautifully in my old house in the other part of town. But funny thing is it was never really bigger than this one. I mean, there's my hand, so it's not that big. But this year in this space, it tripled in size, but still no blooms. So I think proven winners. I just was scrolling through something the other day and I saw that they have a link on their website about what to do, how I can fix this problem. So I am going to read that. But these leaves are beautiful. So I don't know, even if it doesn't bloom, it's still a nice foliage plant back here against the fence. So that is, I said I had 7 different varieties, and I guess it's the same thing because these are the same variety, just different plants. So let's go to number 8 is a vanilla strawberry hydrangea. And again, they have these bright pink, so I wouldn't say bright, like spring pink. It's kind of a muddy pink. It's beautiful for fall. The vanilla strawberries are supposed to kind of be darker and then lighten up at the top. Mine really have never done that, but I have been pretty happy with it. This is its first full year in this location. I had it in a cottage bed and it was just too bossy for that area. It's taking over and lying down on my daisies and echinaceas. It just filled up, the space was too small. So I put it here and let it go wild. Like, here you go, be happy in this spot. And it's right next to a royal purple smoke bush. And it's just, I love the contrast. I love the deep, dark leaves of the smoke bush with the blooms of the vanilla strawberry hydrangea. On the other side, I have some grass, which somebody gave me. I don't know, it's miscanthus, I guess. And then my tiger eye sumac back there. So this is my front bed, and I'll show you what it looks like from the other side. So this is what you would see walking down the sidewalk to the bike path or driving by. The tall, there we go, get the top, smoke bush, the vanilla strawberry hydrangea, the grass, and then I love how that just comes right over, that tiger eye comes over the grass. So this is the vanilla strawberry hydrangea. I've been very happy with it in its space, and I think it was a very good move. So those are my 7 different varieties of hydrangeas. I did have Annabelles that I ended up taking out. They were too floppy. They destroyed everything around them by lying down after a storm, and we get pretty good heavy summer rains. And then they were sending out lots and lots of suckers. So I did give all of those away, and I hope they have very happy homes. It was a lovely bush, but just not right for the space that I had. So I am happy with what I do have. But notes for next year is on the PG hydrangea to give it a better shape in late winter and to prune it back at least 2 more times before it starts to bud. And then especially the biggest change I want to do this year is that Limelight hydrangea. I'm going to do a much harder prune and or a shaping to it. Last year I just sort of cut down last year's growth instead of going down to much older wood, much stronger older wood. And I think that's what I'm going to do again this year, this late winter. So that's it. Thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions on what that hydrangea is in the front, that was my my fourth one, which I think is a fire and ice. If you have any words of wisdom about that, I'd very much appreciate it. Thanks for watching.